Hello guys, if you're new here, my name is Atusa, and if you know my channel already, welcome back. It's been a while. I haven't had this chance to talk to you guys for a while, but I'm so grateful that I'm back and I can create another video for you guys and I can talk to you. So for today's video, we are going to look at a recent tournament, which was World Team Blitz and Rapid Championship. And in Rapid portion, Team L.A. became champion, and in Blitz portion, WR team basically won the event. So today I'm going to analyze a game between Arjun Ergaisi versus former world champion, shall we say, Magnus Carlsen. And this is a very exciting game. This is a Blitz game, so let's dive into this game. Okay, so as you can see, Arjun is playing as white. He started with d4, and then black played knight f6. And in this position, c4, g6, knight c3, bishop g7, e4, and d6. So as you can see, we have King's Indian defense on the board. And King's Indian is one of those openings that in top level, they don't play it that often. But in a Blitz game, you know, you want to have fun, you want to enjoy your game, and it's a really tactical opening, and I would say it's a risky one, and I can see why Magnus basically played it against Arjun. But let's see if Arjun was ready for it or not. So he played bishop e2, e5, takes, queen d8, king takes d8, and here f4. Okay, so I remember that I tried this opening King's Indian defense as black, I think a couple of times in my chess career, and I think my last try was in US Women Championship in 2023, where I played this opening against a very young and talented junior, Alice Lee. And I played, I think, okay in the opening, and then we got a kind of queenless middle game, and then I didn't play all the right moves, so I had some difficulties in the end game. But I remember that after queen's trade, white had a more comfortable position than black, so I think that's why here Arjun basically exchanged the queens. Okay, white played f4, black played bishop e6, knight f3, knight c6, castle, king c8. Okay, king c8 is a little bit maybe not accurate here, and a better move here was knight d4, which is not an easy move actually, but computer suggests this move knight d4, and the idea is if knight takes e5, black can take here, and then black can take on e4. So as you can see, the knight on c3 is overloaded. So after king c8, Arjun played f5, which is the best move in this position. G takes f5, e takes f5, and bishop d7. Notice that if black takes the pawn on f5, it seems like a, free pawn, right? But actually here, white has a discovered attack. White can take this pawn on e5, and by moving the knight, he is opening up the rook. And after knight takes e5, white can just take the bishop on f5. So let's go back. That's why Magnus didn't take on f5. He just retreated the bishop to d7. And then white played knight g5. A very nice move, attacking the pawn f7. Rook f8. Rook f8, as you can see, the question mark on the rook, it means that this was a mistake. A better move here for black was to play bishop e8, but okay, when you're playing especially a blitz game, you don't have that much time to think, and rook f8 seems a little bit more natural than bishop e8, because bishop e8, you're moving your bishop here and your bishop doesn't have any future. But anyway, here Magnus played rook f8 and Arjun played bishop e3. So as you can see, there is an X here, and if you are familiar with chess.com analysis, you know that this means white missed winning chances. And here the best move was knight d5, and the idea is if the knight takes, you take here, you're attacking the knight, and apparently this is much better for white. But okay, I think this was not that easy to play knight d5. I think for a human, much easier to, you know, develop the pieces, especially if you're playing a blitz game. You don't want to calculate that much because you don't have enough time to calculate. So white played bishop e3, black played knight d4, white continued with bishop d3, because here the knight was attacking here, there was a bishop here as well, so bishop d3 makes sense. And Magnus played h6, attacking the knight, knight f4, knight takes f5, and this was a blunder, or I should say maybe a missed win. But the better move here for black was to take the pawn with the bishop. Okay, what happens after knight takes f5? Here Arjun played bishop c5, so he spotted the right move. Bishop c5, great move. As you can see, he spent around 7 seconds, just 7 seconds for this move, which is really nice. Bishop c5, attacking the rook. Knight takes e4. Notice that if the rook moves, we can just take the knight and then take this knight on f5, because the knight on e4 is blocking our bishop. Okay, so that's why black took the knight on e4, bishop takes f8. If we take the knight with our bishop, black can move the knight to d6, and he can defend the rook and the knight at the same time. So that's why white preferred to capture the rook, which was the best move in this position. Bishop takes f8, knight takes e4, bishop e6, rook e1, knight d4, knight f6, bishop d6, king h1. Okay, so white is up a pawn, and black's rook is not in the game. Computer gives 1.4 advantage to white, and I think that's kind of fair because white is up an exchange for a pawn, right? And white should be winning in this position, but okay, don't forget that this is a blitz game. The players don't have enough time, and anything can happen, especially in a blitz game. So let's see if black or Magnus Carlsen could basically defend this position or not. So here he played c5. As you can see, c5 has a question mark. And I think after c5, black is blocking the bishop, and it's harder for black to basically activate this bishop on d6. But on the other hand, I can understand his move, because the point is he wants to overprotect the knight on d4, which is on a nice outpost. So c5 was played, b3, king c7, bishop e4. As you can see, Arjun has 47 seconds in this position, and Magnus has just 17 seconds. So he pushed the pawn to a5, bishop d5, attacking the bishop, and as you can see, white wants to exchange the bishops and simplify the position. And this is exactly what we need to do when we are up in material. So bishop d5 was played, a4. Magnus is trying to get some counterattack on the queen side. White took the bishop on e6, f takes e6, knight e4, great move, getting the knight back to the center, opening up the rook to the 7th rank, and very nice move by Arjun. A takes b3, a takes b3, knight takes b3, and rook f6. He spotted the right move again, and here Arjun is attacking both pawns on the 6th rank, knight d4, rook takes h6. Notice that even though black has pawn majority here, it's harder for black to create a passed pawn, but white already has this passed pawn on h2. So black played king c6, h4, bishop e7, h5. So as you know, in the end game, two things are very important. One is to make sure that your king is active. And the second one is that if you have a passed pawn, you want to push the pawn, because once you push the pawn is more dangerous and you can promote your pawn eventually. So black played b5, because if black sits here, I mean, white can just slowly push the pawn on h5 to h6 and then h7, h8. It is, I think, a winnable position for white. So black decided that, okay, he needs to do something. He needs to create a counterattack. That's why he pushed the pawn to create this passed pawn on c5. So he takes b5, king d5. If the king takes on b5, white can play the same move. So black played king d5 here, b6, c4, rook h7, attacking the bishop, bishop b4, b7, rook b8, knight f6 check, king c6. Okay, at this point, white is totally winning, but as you can see, players have just, a few seconds left on the board, on the clock, sorry, and, you get 2 seconds increment for each move, so it is really tough to play under 20 seconds because I think when you are playing over the board, it just takes 2 seconds to move your hand and basically change the placement of the pieces. But okay, these players are so fast that probably they can do it in a milliseconds, So anyway, so black played king c6, rook b1, bishop d2, knight d7, attacking the rook and the pawn on e5, rook takes b7, knight takes e5 check, king here, rook takes here, king takes e5, rook c7, c3, h6, bishop takes h6. Notice that white does want to exchange these 2 pawns, and the reason is it's just a risk-free position for white, so it's okay to push the pawn to h6. Bishop takes h6, rook takes c3, king e4, rook h3, bishop here, g3, king g2, yes. And finally, white king gets to the game, and e5, rook h5, bishop d2, rook f7, and knight c2, g4, bishop f4, g5, knight e3 check, king h3, and here Magnus Carlsen resigned. Okay, this is kind of like a hopeless position because white is winning, and white is just going to push the pawn and promote the pawn. So even though Magnus lost this game to Arjun Ergaisi, their team actually won the Blitz portion of this event, and for a rapid portion of this tournament, Team Al-Ain won the tournament. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and tell me about your chess journey for the past couple of months, because we haven't had a chance to talk and it's nice to share our stories, chess stories, maybe in the comment section, and I will read them all. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Take care.